Young Metro don't trust you, I'm gonna shoot you.
Why Pogba was key to breaking down Dyche'S 4-4-2. Burnley 0, Manchester United 1, a tactical analysis. For cheap, good quality football jerseys, go over to www.jerseyfever.com, a link will be left in the description, and use coupon code atlantisfootball for 5% off. Before this video starts, just give me 40 seconds to tell you about the OneFootball app. It's the app I use to keep you up to date with the latest football news, and I find it particularly useful during the transfer window, as they have a section on the app that has all the latest done deals in the transfer window, as well as the circulating rumours. If you go onto the match section, you can find statistics from pretty much any match from any league in the world, which is what I like to do for games I'm not able to watch in full, to give myself a general idea of how the game went, as well as the style of both teams in the match. If you're a fan of this channel, you'll definitely find this app useful, and you'll be helping to support the channel directly. So go and click the link in the description below to get the OneFootball app. So going into the game, Sean Dyche set up his side in a 4-4-2 with Nick Pope in goal, Tarkowski and Ben Mead as centre-back pairing, with Loughton at right back, Peters at left back, Westwood and Brownhill were the midfield double pivot, with Goodmanson starting from the right of the midfield, Brady on the left and a front two of Barnes and Wood. Solskjaer used his familiar 4-2-3-1 shape with De Gea and goal as centre-back pairing of Bailly and Maguire. Luke Shaw started at left back with Wan-Bissaka at right back, as Pogba and Matic played as a midfield double pivot, with Fernandes in front of them, Martial starting from the left flank, Rashford on the right and Cavani playing as the centre forward. So from the start of the game, we saw Burnley dropping into their usual 4-4-2 shape out of possession. In the middle third, they'd allow United centre-backs to have the ball, whilst the front two of Barnes and Wood would look to cut off the passing lanes into the United midfield double pivot in behind them. What we did see from Dyche was that when United had the ball in their defensive third, Burnley would press aggressively, with Barnes and Wood looking to press the centre-backs, as one of the Burnley central midfielders would push up from the midfield line to pressurise the United deep central midfielders. This did create a V-shaped frontline press, which did take a 4-1-3-2 defensive shape, with the wide midfielders also pushing up the pitch, looking to press United's fullbacks if they received the ball. This did obviously mean that Burnley's system was very stretched in these situations, but United weren't really able to take advantage of this until the second half, which I will come on to later. Because Burnley were organised, compact and did a good job of cutting the passing lanes into United's midfield, we saw Matic dropping wide and deep on the left, creating a temporary wide back three shape. This is something that we have seen in recent games, and I spoke about Solskjaer's use of the central midfielder in this way in my analysis of the Aston Villa and Leeds games, which will both be linked in the description below. But the benefit of doing this is that it opens up a passing lane wide of Burnley's front two. If Matic sits centrally alongside Pogba, then it's hard for United to progress the ball from the centre-backs, as a pass into him is easily cut off. But by pulling out wide, the passing lane is opened up, which Burnley cannot cut off without stretching their 4-4-2 shape. Now in possession, United's 4-2-3-1 becomes a 2-4-3-1 shape. The midfield double pivot of Matic and Pogba sit deep to try and get on the ball, and also pull Burnley's central midfield high up the pitch, and therefore open up space between the lines for Martial, Fernandes and Rashford to drop into. I thought in the first 30 minutes United were moving the ball far too slowly. What they should have been looking to do is push the fullbacks forward high and wide, and then look to switch the play quickly by using Pogba and Matic as a point to then play a long pass out to the far flank. This was because the Burnley midfield was sitting so narrow that there was an immense amount of space on the far side, so if United could switch the play quickly and get it out to the fullbacks, it would have been a much easier way of progressing the ball forward than by looking to play through the centre of the field. Burnley in possession were playing their usual vertically direct game, as the centre-backs would look to play straight long balls into Barnes and Wood, hoping to use the aerial ability of both to knock the ball on or win second balls and push the play out wide, from where their fullbacks and wide midfielders could then look to put in deep crosses into the box. United were looking to press aggressively in their usual 4-2-3-1 shape in order to limit the amount of time that the Burnley backline had on the ball and force them into rush long passes forward, which would therefore be less accurate. United also did a reasonable job of dealing with this as well. Bailly and Maguire were pretty good in aerial duels, not necessarily winning every header, but not allowing Wood and Barnes to get good contacts on their headers to push the ball into dangerous areas. It did seem that the key to breaking Burnley down would come from United getting the ball into players in between the lines, which was hard in the first half with Burnley's midfield so organised and compact. An example is here. Bailly has a ball moving into the Burnley defensive third. Now what we may see in a usual 4-4-2 shape is that it would be a bit more stretched out here, and therefore Fernandes would be able to move over and open up a passing lane. However, what we see in Burnley's midfield is that Westwood does an excellent job of cutting off the passing lane into Fernandes, with Brady, the left-sided midfielder, moving in narrow to close up the space further. United's best way of progressing the ball into the final third in the first half came when they looked to take a more direct approach after winning the ball back. See here, United win the ball back in their own half, and the ball is distributed out to Fernandes on the left flank. He has the vision and passing ability to play a long direct pass over the Burnley back line, and this sets Cavani through on goal until he's brought down. The other avenue where United seemed to have the most success was by getting the ball out wide to the fullbacks and looking to put in a deep cross. This is where Maguire's disallowed goal came from, as Shaw put in a great curling cross to the back post for Maguire to attack and head into the far corner, which in the end was disallowed. So United went into half time at 0-0, and this game reminded me of a typical game in a title challenge where you look back and you see where the side who won the league eventually won it and managed to win these sort of games from these sorts of situations, and the second and third place teams would often slip up in these sorts of matches. We saw Liverpool doing this almost game after game during periods last season. So in the second half, something had to change in order for United to break down Burnley, and it did. We saw that Burnley were continuing with their 4-4-2 shape and their press in United's defensive third. However, now United were a lot quicker to play forward passes. Here we see De Gea pick the ball up instead of playing it to the centre backs and throws the ball over the Burnley press into Pogba, who then drives the ball forward past Brownhill and Westwood, playing a pass into Fernandes, and now in a matter of seconds, United had bypassed the entire Burnley press and are now in the final third. Both Matic and Pogba were now receiving the ball in the middle third and looking straight away to play vertical passes into Fernandes, who was positioned in behind the Burnley midfield too, whereas in the first half they were a lot more hesitant and would look to move the ball out wide in order just to circulate possession. Pogba was the key player in the second half for United, and as I tweeted during the match, I thought Pogba's influence on this game and over recent weeks is beginning to show why a player of this type is so important. He has the ability to progress play in multiple ways. He can either receive the ball in space and drive forward before moving it on to someone like Fernandes or Rashford, or he can play an incisive vertically direct pass from deep into a player between the lines of the opposition system, which he did multiple times in the second half to release United's attackers in the final third. However, United weren't creating an abundance of chances despite getting into the final third a lot more often. In my analysis of the win against Aston Villa, which will be linked in the description, I mentioned how good Wan-Bissaka and Rashford's interplay on the right flank was. However, in this game I thought it was poor. Rashford's decision making and final pass let him down on multiple occasions, and Wan-Bissaka reverted to his hesitant style when he received the ball in a good position in the channel. It was looking like the game was edging towards a 0-0, but the goal did come and it came from Paul Pogba. So the ball gets shifted out to Rashford on the right of the final third. He does well not to put in an early cross into the box, as Cavani nor Martial have made a run into space. He holds up the attack and sees Pogba on the edge of the box, and his lofted pass into him is perfect, and Pogba's technique to volley the ball first time is top class, and United get the bit of luck they needed as it deflects slightly, wrong-footing Pope and going into the net to give United the lead. Now in the last 20 minutes of the game, United knew Burnley were just going to play long vertical balls forward, looking to get the ball out wide and play deep crosses into the box, so they continued to press aggressively, and this was a great tactical move as a lot of sides may fall into the trap of sitting deep to protect the lead, but this just invites pressure. However, saying this, the last 5 minutes of the match was a little chaotic in United's box, but in the end United saw out the victory to go 3 points clear at the top of the table. The victory was a typical United game that they seemed to be so frequently dropping points in throughout last season or so. Despite me saying in the Villa game that the win stemmed from Solskjaer's tactical setup, I think in this game the credit has to go not solely but mostly to Paul Pogba, who was a real catalyst behind this win with his incisive passing and eventual goal, which shows why he's so valuable to the side and what United would need to replace if he does leave in the summer. Those things are what I've outlined in my Who Manchester United should sign to replace Paul Pogba series. The second episode is out now and will be linked in the description, so make sure you go and check that out. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, as I have a lot of Manchester United content coming up in the next few weeks.